Hello and welcome to Sport Tonight. I'm Cecilia Amogbe in Lagos.
All the great things to you wherever you are in the world watching us. In London, I'm Austin Okonakwan. Cecilia, it's good to have you on the show. And
Of course, obviously, it's been a long time, right? We did this together. But there's so much to talk about tonight, you know that.
Awesome, Cecilia. I see a lot of Super Falcons on the menu.
Yes.
Women's football will get us talking. I said Cecilia is back.
Tonight at 11 p.m., of course, they will be facing the USA again. After what happened well over the weekend on Saturday where they lost 4-0, it's a star-studded team for Team USA. Yes, they're world champions. We all know that. Also, Bayelsa Quiz, we'll be talking about them because they've qualified for the Women's CAF Champions League, the second edition taking place in Morocco. All the 8 teams, the lineup is complete. And also, we'll touch down on NFF elections. You know, at least there is a woman now, actually, Aisha Falade. She is seeking elective position in the NFF seat. Remember before it was just an appointment, but this time around, she wants to be there as an elected personality. So that's a big one also. UEFA Champions League will also get us talking. Chelsea, well, not a good way to start the Champions League. They lost, and of course, Man City in action. Too many big teams in action tonight. And of course, we'll touch down on boxing, Austin. I know that's what you will love. Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua, will it happen this year or not? 60-40 splits, that's what the purse will be like. That's according to Tyson Fury. So much to talk about tonight.
Loaded package, Cecilia. Always an action back to all those sports, and you did justice, you know, reading that out for our viewers tells you that there's so much to talk about. Aisha Falade, I love that story. Let's see what she can do now when she gets into the NFF, you know, board from the elections. She has done so well with the appointment of being in charge of women's league football in Nigeria. Let's see, you know, taking it a step further. That would be really good, talking about women being part of football administration in Nigeria. You talked about the Super Falcons. I think we should begin with that. Yes. Cecilia, I don't know what to say again about Coach Randy Waldrum and this team. I told Yemi last week that I can't tolerate or talk about a coach that is proving match after match that he doesn't even know his team.
Yeah, I think Austin will need to cut him some slack because people are trying to judge him by these particular friendlies. I mean, I talked about the U.S. got the star-studded team from Smith to Lohan to Alex Morgan. I mean, out of the 22 players they have in camp, 21 of them actually took part in the CONCACAF Cup, which they won in Mexico. So it's a star-studded team. And of course, the Super Falcons. I mean, when you look at the starting lineup of the Super Falcons, how many players were at WAFCON? So it tells you a whole lot. I mean, the coach has not been able to have a full complement of his players together. So for these two friendlies, I will not judge him by that. But what happened in Morocco, I think that's what we should have taken a look at to see how we can really judge him. But it's his first tournament. And if you check for the past 10 years or so, we've not been consistent in the appointment of coaches for the women's team. We've not really had a coach that have taken Nigeria to 2 tournaments at the same time. It's one, when you're out, the next day you're gone. I mean, for the past how many years? 2016, we had Florence Magbemi. 2018, we had Thomas Danaby. And, of course, right now, we are having a Randy Wardrobe. So the inconsistency is something you also had to take a look at. Well,
Cecilia, Cecilia, I love the balance you're trying to bring into this conversation. But I think all Randy Wardrobe has been doing with this team is to prove to us that he can only play players out of position. With what happened in Morocco,
that's a bit harsh.
we were expecting that he would come out and, you know, prove a point with the way he experiments with the team. Yes, we didn't have the full complement of the team, but there were some players that were expecting to see how he can bring in some tactical experience or even prove to us that this time around he understands what's going on. He keeps proving cluelessness, Cecilia, with this Super Falcons team. You talked about the Americans. I told you, last week, that for them to play Nigeria, they already have objectives that they want to achieve playing the Super Falcons. What do we want to achieve playing the United States of America twice? You've lost the first leg 4-0. Cecilia, tell me, isn't it the same players that he had in Kansas that he's going to have tonight in Washington, D.C.? So what kind of result are you expecting again?
Yeah, I think it's a whole lot, Austin. It's a whole lot. But then tonight they will be in action, of course, against the USA, 11 p.m. Nigerian time. That's when the match will be taking place. And for Coach Randy Wardrum, he's been talking a whole lot concerning this team. The fact that he's not been able to have the full complement of his players, and the fact that, yes, the under-20 team he brought, I'm talking about the 4 Connects that joined the camp, but 4 of the players were able to join. They've been fantastic. But then he's got objective. The objective is not the result. Is about performance and see how the players will gel in preparations for the 2023 World Cup in Australia next year.
We're going to look at some other players. You know, we still didn't get Onyechigini in. We didn't get Esther into the game. You know, we need to see those players as well. And obviously, we'll continue to study the video from the first match and try to clean up some things defensively. You know, the hard part is you're playing against a team that's not only the best in the world, but they're in the peak of their physical condition. You know, they're all in the league here in the U.S., which is getting ready for playoffs. So physically, they're in a better place than us. And the U.S. is together all the time. And, you know, unfortunately, we don't get our players together since they're scattered all over the world playing. We don't get them together like the U.S. is able to do. So we know they're going to be another, you know, a challenge, and it'll be another difficult match on Tuesday. But as I said, the experience that we gain from it, if this is where we want to be as a country, to be one of the top teams in the world, we have to play these kind of teams, and we have to get exposed so we learn from it. You know, Morocco was the first time we really had all of the players that I asked for in camp since we've been here in a year. So it takes time to be good. If you look at the things Morocco is doing and you look at the things that South Africa are doing, their teams are together on a regular basis, and we've got to be able to get all of our players in on a more regular basis. So this year, I think, thankfully, the president has supported us with, you know, giving us these kind of opportunities to be together. And so we'll definitely be much better at the World Cup than we were in Morocco. Anytime you play the best in the world, you know that you're going to have challenges, and certainly they created a lot of challenges for us. But I think everything, you know, for our plan moving forward, everything we do is in preparation for the World Cup. So I think we look less at results, but more on performance and how we play. And
it's not about results. It's all about the performance, how the players will be able to be together for the World Cup. That's what Coach Randy Wardrum is talking about ahead of the game tonight, 11 p.m. Nigerian time, against the world champions, USA. Okay, not just... we have a guest in the studio, of course, not just myself and Austin, and it's a Tuesday. Kaine Idris is right here with me in the studio. Kaine, it's good to have you.
It's good to be here. And I was listening to the opening of Austin, and he said, it's been a long while without CC on the night show, and it feels so good. I'm feeling very beautiful because CC is right here. But I've listened, and the Super Falcons, our darling, you know, team, they've given us a lot of success, and it takes a lot of concern. Austin has been very emotional. Likewise, I am. But one good I've taken away from this is the fact that I said it to some colleague while the competition was ongoing, and then I saw it happen. The under-20, the Falconet, I've seen girls, I've seen women or ladies, whichever we want to put them, who will graduate from this team straight to the Super Falcons, and 5 of them already here. And then we have the local players like the Monday Gifts and all, also, you know, coming from the local league to join up. Probably Wardrum wants to leave out all of the starters. We know the Aziza Toshualas, the Okpara Nozezi. Let's see girls who can now be second fiddle, but very reliable.
I think that's actually important when you have a Super Falcons B, in case when you have situations like this, that you can get a full complement of most of your big-time players. Talking about Money Gifts, well, next time she will be with his Falcons. I mean, right now, she's an international player.
She is.
She has signed for a Tenerife 3-year deal, so that's a good one for long overdue. We've been waiting for that deal, and finally, it happened just yesterday. So she's going to join the league, I mean, the players, the league in the Spain. How do I put it now?
I like
the League of Spanish players, the League of Nigerian players in Spain.
It seemed like the new mecca for women's football. At the time, it was England. Then it shifted to France. Now
Sweden.
Sweden.
Yes.
Now everybody's talking about Spain.
Yeah,
and look at every incentive the Spanish government is trying to put in so that women's football comes home. And we are not, we are not behind on that. The OKKs, the Azizat Oshoala, Rashidat. Now we're talking a super young lady that I'm sure will stun the La Liga also.
She'll definitely want to stun that. And you're talking about development of the La Liga. I mean, talking about the women's league in Spain. Yeah. Just remember that they won the under-20 women's championship. So the last time they got to the finals, they were beaten by Japan 3-1. And of course, this time I got to the final, they won.
Even the senior team also got to the final.
So,
they are really growing. They are really growing.
Let's learn from what these other countries are doing. But what we just need is investment. Once you have the right investment, obviously, we'll have a chance. But let's just take a look at the full details of what that game is like. The stadium where it will be played, the time, and of course, the team they will be playing against. As I mentioned earlier, they will be playing against the USA, the world champions. They've won the continental title 9 times, just like the Super Falcons of Africa, 9 times also. So at the end of the day, you will say these teams are evenly poised. But the difference is, I mean, when you have world champions and Super Falcons have never won the World Cup, so they are not even close, not even finals or semi-finals. But it's a build-up. If we keep playing games like these, and of course, we have a coach that is consistent. Right now, talent is not the problem. We have a plethora of players that can actually win a World Cup. But the thing is, coaching system and the structure, that's something that we really need to build. If we can do that, obviously, we'll have it. Okay. But then we are saying the US Open, that's not what we want to talk about, the Super Falcons. But if we can't get that, let's just take a listen to Oluwatosin Dimehin. That's the captain of the Falconets that was called up for the Super Falcons team. And for her, she's really happy to be there. And also, she'll try her best to see if they can get something off the USA tonight.
Playing against the best in the world is not an easy task. I feel praised and I feel amazed, because it's a preview and opportunity that so many young footballers are looking for. So I feel great being part of the team that played against the US team. Though for the first game, there are a lot of errors, and in the second game, I'll be going to the game in the second game and give what more better than the one I did in the last game. And I believe my best is yet to come. So I'm going to have more confidence and to play with less pressure. My game against the US team is far better than the one I had against Jamaica, because I wasn't who I am. I wasn't who I was in the game against Jamaica. I've improved in so many areas. So my game against the US is better than the one against Jamaica. Being a local player does not determine your future, and does not mean maybe you're not a good player. Because all the players that are playing in the local league cannot play in Europe. For some coaches, they think maybe being a local player mean maybe you don't have the experience they needed or the exposure that they needed. But to me, a local player is even more better than some of the European players. It's just a privilege and an opportunity for those playing in Europe.
I guess most people would definitely agree with what she said about local players better than some players playing internationally. I mean, Kennedy's already nodding his head. But then we were talking about this slide earlier, talking about the international friendly at tonight, 11 p.m. That's the Audi Field, Washington, D.C. The first one was played in Kansas City. But this one is going to be Washington, D.C. Hopefully they can get something out of it.
You see, when you play a team like USA, to an extent, if we're true to ourselves, we're realists. We don't expect the Super Falcons, especially the scrub, to win. But what we're looking at is lessons learned from here. And I listened to Randy Waldrum, where he said when you play the world champions, win, loss, or draw, there are things you need to take away, especially preparations for the World Cup. If we get to the World Cup, after this kind of, games, you need to show that you've learned something, especially bitterly from a loss. 4-0 in the first leg. I don't know what would happen here, but I saw the game, Nigeria-Canada. The first leg, they won. The second leg, we came back fighting. That means we learned something from the very first game. And maybe we'll say a better fight from the Super Falcons. But what I'm saying is, whether it ends 10-0 tonight, take something away, and we should see that in no time, especially when the World Cup gets to arrive. Austin
actually mentioned earlier that he wants to see what are we doing with this international friendlies. Of course, I believe Coach Randy Wardrum actually answered Austin's question when he talked about he wants to look at the performance, not about results, Austin. It's not about results, it's about performance. That's what he's saying. So no matter what happens tonight, you just take the performance and not the results.
Cecilia, you know me, Kende Idris, you know me. I'm all about progress, development. But I'm saying this on live television that with the cluelessness that Randy Waldrum has shown with this Super Falcons team, I'm not expecting anything. He talked about Morocco and South Africa and the consistency that they're enjoying. They're enjoying that due to the quality of the technical expertise that the technical crew of those countries have shown. And we saw it when they played at the WAFCON. This guy, time and time again, has shown that he doesn't even understand the players that he's inviting. Take the WAFCON, for instance. Ashley Plumpton was beaming with confidence to represent Nigeria. She did so well with the qualifiers, got to the WAFCON. Randy Waldrum took her to left back. He doesn't have the complement of his team to place the United States of America, the best women's football team in the world. And the least you can do is to make sure that you play every player in their right position so that they can improve. You brought Rashidat to midfield to do what? Then the young players you invited, what are you doing with them? So I'm just struggling to see how this team can improve on the Randy Waldrum, because I'm not seeing it. And if you guys are seeing it, tell me. The Super Falcons struggled to finish fourth at the last WAFCON. They used grace to qualify for the World Cup. What are the expectations? If you want to commend the NFL for giving you top grade friendlies, then the least you can do is prepare. If you don't have your top players, the ones you're inviting, play them to their best of their, to play them to the best of their abilities, so that you can actually see their potentials. But by the time you keep experimenting and taking this player to struggle in a position, and then the results are getting from bad to worse, then it's not good. That's what I'm just saying, guys. So I don't know what you guys are expecting from tonight's friendly, but you come back and say the same thing.
We're
because
open-minded.
it's still the same coach.
Don't mention that scoreline again.
You will see.
We're open-minded.
I think we have to leave the Falcons now and, of course, quickly talk about the teams that have qualified for the Women's CAF Champions League. 8 teams, they are complete right now. Remember, West Africa, the last time we had 2 teams, but right now, simply because of the fact that no team from West Africa won the Women's Africa Cup of Nations, so you had to go to South Africa. That's where you're having 2 teams coming from. Of course, in North Africa, because the host nation and also a team from Egypt. That's the reason you're having 2. So take a look at all the teams. For Simba Queens of Tanzania, and they will be making their debut. Green Buffaloes of Zambia also making debut. Determined Girls of Liberia. I mean, I was shocked that they were able to qualify from WAFU A. We didn't expect the Liberians to actually get this far. They're also making their debut. And of course, Bayelsa Queens, Rivers Angels with their own wet last time, but Bayelsa Queens right now are also making their debut. I love the fact they are not having the same team. So 4 teams making their debut in this tournament. As far where the hosts, they were there last year. And of course, Mamelodi Sundowns ladies of South Africa title holders didn't need to play anything. So obviously they are here. And of course, Wadi Delja of Egypt, they hosted last time and they were here. So they qualified. They are also here. These are the teams that will be taking part in the Women's CAF Champions League.
I think as far reminds me of, Rivers Angels last year. So, I'm seeing debutants and probably we'll say growths, where last year, definitely some teams represented at this level. But for these teams, they got in, they believed they were doing something in their corner. And then when it got to the big stage, they qualified and all of that. Now I want to see what debutants could do. For the Sundown ladies, as far, I think, including Bayelsa Queens, with the little I've seen, I think maybe I've got my eyes more on this team. But you say these determined girls, maybe their name tells a lot of story. They seem determined, and we should definitely be careful. If anything to go by last year, I think this year would have even a more explosive, CAF Women's Champions League. Yeah, I think we would have a more explosive one. Everybody understands, what's a big stage it is. Maybe that is what Rivers Angels didn't really get last time.
Yeah, Rivers Angels, their preparations wasn't top-notch because...
I think they had good preparations.
They did. They arrived a day before, I think hours before their first game.
They arrived
Bayelsa Queens will definitely not make the same mistake. Austin?
No, Kende, that's the problem. You see, I always say that there's some things you do to win a game before you step on the pitch. Yes. For instance, Rivers Angels arrived on the day they were to play at the CAF Women's Champions League. The same day that they were to play. And they thought that they were going to just get in there where Rivers Angels from Nigeria.
I said they don't know the magnitude.
Football in Nigeria. It didn't work that way. We had teams from Kenya that were even, dominant at the last Women's CAF Champions League. So there's the template now for Bayelsa Queens.
Yes.
Get ready on time. I love the mindset that the Bayelsa state government are using to promote sports in the state. Shout out to Daniel Igali and the work he's doing. I was super excited when Bayelsa Queens qualified. So start ticking those boxes now that can make you go to the competition and play admirable football. I'm confident that Bayelsa Queens will do better than Rivers Angels, but these are just, early times to the competition. So whenever Nigeria is playing this sort of competition, we now need to sit up that it's not about you being big in your country. This is the continent. And this will also make us do those things that we need to do to develop women's league football in Nigeria.
I think Bayelsa Queens already look like they've done better than Rivers. Winning the Wafu B. Last time it was Asakas taking out Rivers United. And it was similar. They drew in the first game. They met in the final. Asakas won it. This time, Ampem drew Bayelsa Queens. Ampem met them in the final again. And they showed them, why they are Bayelsa Queens. And Austin just mentioned probably the preparation. And I will go back to what I said earlier. I think as of last year, maybe Rivers Angels and the entire setup do not know the magnitude of this level. Like, you got there an hour before, you're feeling you're big. When it comes to Africa, you're talking women's team. Rivers Angels to be mentioned as quickly as possible. But it is what you play on the pitch, and Bayelsa already learned from that, and they are dotting all the, all the I's and crossing the T's.
Yeah. All right, and of course, during the whole qualifiers, it's got 17 goals and considered just one.
Just one.
So that's really huge.
Yeah.
All right, there's still so much to talk about on sports tonight. When we come back from this break, we'll be talking about the 10-year master plan that the sports minister have submitted to the Nigerian Women's Football League club owners. All right, time to talk about the 10-year football master plan that the committee that was set up by the sports minister. Now he has actually presented it to the club owners of Nigerian Women's Football League. And the essence of this is to ensure that everyone is carried along, not just at the elite level, also at the grassroots level. And that's the whole essence of the 10-year master plan. You were mentioning something like, well, is it just to talk about it, or maybe we'll follow up and everything? But then the good thing is the fact that the federal government actually approved this master plan. I mean, it's a white paper, and they are really focusing to advocate for development of women's football. Is also part of the 10-year plan. Yeah,
like they always say, the saying goes, there is never a wrong time to do a right thing or to start a right thing. This is a right thing. I think we had this discussion sometimes ago, last week or thereabouts on the show. What we're saying is everything is so beautiful. If you go through, the breakdown and all of that, it's so nice. But are you going to carry it through? Now, Nigerians, like we are asking a lot of questions. We've seen beautiful ideas come up. 2020 January, we saw the adopt an athlete that went to adopt an idea, adopt a facility and all of that. Very laudable. For now, sustenance, I'm not hearing so much of it because it should go from the Olympics. It was built up for the Olympics. It should go to, other things. Sports is, every day. And this is what we're saying. 10 years master plan, we have our skepticism. NFL president will be leaving soon, talking about the present one. The minister also, we don't know what would happen, dispensation and all of that. The president that is, approving this, talking about President Muhammadu Buhari, we're talking next year, and we're talking 10 years. So in some months, a 10 years plan that was approved by this man who is leaving will still be there. Will the next dispensation get to, acknowledge that? Is this something that would go on and on? These are our fears. But if you look at what it entails, very fantastic. Then also those who are, in this committee are those that you can, beat your chest and say, these people tested, trusted over the time. So hopefully it gets to do so well. But we'll continue to have our fears for Nigerians.
Also, there was something that the sports minister told the club owners. He said that for football to really develop, they must fix it at the grassroots level. And of course, that's the job of the club owners, those who are actually running the league.
I'm really impressed about this 10-year football development master plan. I've been having daily conversation with the vice chairman of the committee, Mr. Yemidu, and he's been breaking it down and making me understand. And with this visit of the club owners of women's football to the Ministry of Youth and Sports Development, and Sunday Diary mentioning that they are very crucial to the development of football is very, very important, because now these are the owners of the clubs. You need to understand that the key into the vision of the master plan is very, very important. And at this stage, let's remember, Yemi Dowu, when he was on the show, broke it down that there are 4 processes, 4 stages.
Yeah.
And I'm sure at this stage that it is for us to understand what are the things that we need to make football thrive. Let's not think about execution yet of any strategy. What are the things that we need? And Sunday Diary mentioned that most private clubs abroad, they have funding from the government. So I think that's part of what we need to think about, we need to work towards achieving, so that it can enhance their programs at the grassroots. Because everybody just talks about the grassroots and believes that when you organize 1 or 2 competitions, you're fine. No, it's a continuous program. It's 360 degrees branding. It's developmental. It's long-term planning. So it's important that we don't neglect that part. But I want to stay with that funding, because we asked Yemi Dowu also that funding is very important. But first, people must understand what the master plan is all about. And if I own a club, I should be thinking, this 10-year development master plan, how can my club benefit?
Yes.
Where do we come in? What are the things we need to do to make this master plan work with our goals, objectives, visions, and anything that we need to succeed as a football club? So meeting with the club owners, fantastic. The next set of persons they should meet after the NFF election should be the state FA chairman.
Obviously, I mean, number 1 in that.
Well,
okay, let's move over
about
from
the media?
let's move over from that. You already have the paperwork. And quickly talk about the NFF elections coming up September 30th. And of course, the latest is the fact that Aisha Falode, the chairperson of Nigerian Women's Football League, saying that, well, she wants to, contest for the executive elective position, so which is a welcome development. And the reason is, she says she wants to consolidate on the professionalism of the Women's League. When she's there, a whole lot will happen. Now, I remember when, okay, let's just quickly, read through, what she had, what she's saying she wants to do. She says, for me, I want to be fully involved in the decision-making and implementation of developmental programs in Nigerian football. I want to be part of that authority who take initiatives and run those ideas of taking the country's football to another level. And she went further to say that not just at this level, and the fact that the Women's League have been growing, of course, if she is there, obviously it's going to be a whole lot. Yeah. And now, that her being part of it, being elected, of course, she knows that a whole lot will be on her. Yeah. I mean, what are the things you should do? What are the things you have to bring to the table to ensure that the Women's League is getting funding from the NFF? That's what we are not having. Yeah. I mean, across the world, most of the leagues across the world, the Football Federation is actually supporting the league for it to grow. You mentioned La Liga. Yeah. In Morocco, for instance, their FA is actually responsible for the payment of the players and coaches' salaries.
What it should be.
FA. And how do they generate that? Through the men. I mean, when they're actually selling, the idea to people who wants to invest in who wants to sponsor the federation, I mean, the men's football. Also, they package the women's football alongside it and tell them, this is where the world is right now, and people are putting in money. And from that, they are able to fund not just the league, salaries and also coaches' salaries. So it tells you a whole lot what other federations are doing. I believe Aisha Falode, with the kind of person she is, with what the new initiative she has brought into the Nigerian Women's Football League board, she will be able to take it a step further to see how the NFF can actually key into what other federations are doing across the world and see how they can actually help the Women's League grow. Because without money, without funding, the so-called development we are talking about and the 10-year master plan or anything, it would just be like in the paper, nothing else.
Yeah. While she was a journalist, she's named Mama Sports. And then when she got into administration, women's football, she's now mommy football. Like, she takes it like it's her child. This is somebody who understands what it means to be the one, that everybody runs to when it comes to this particular thing. And she puts in a lot. Now, I'm looking at her handling women's football at the level she can, because she was appointed and all of that. Now she wants to get into a position where I do not wait and tell those who appointed me that this is my idea. No. Now you can implement, you can propose, because you are now an administrator who's got a, you know, a larger say. See, if you go by what she had done,
yeah,
there shouldn't be any contesting that position with her. It should just be give it to her because we know what she can do.
Okay.
Another thing she's got is the iron hand. When I mean iron hand, I'm not meaning she's a mother, but she understands when you need to stand firm on your decisions and see it through. Like when she said, if you do not get registered properly, you will not be a part of the league. And 2 teams, you know, dropped off. When she said, if you do not get your vaccination, you would suffer. And teams got suffered because of that. So what am I saying? This is somebody who understands what an administrative level or position should be. Yes, you are mama to all of them. You're a daddy. You pat them on the back. But there are times you need to stand on your decisions. And she's got all of that. And she understands inclusiveness. She understands it so well. Women's football is growing at that level. And I can remember Danny Jordan, the FA chairman in South Africa, said, the women are even closer for me to winning the World Cup than the men. Why not give them much? Why not give them more?
USA, for instance, I mean, after the game tonight,
no, don't even talk about USA men and women.
Both economy and everything, equal pay will start after the game tonight for the US team. Austin is a whole lot. I mean, we can spend the whole time talking about women, especially what they've been able to do in football and in all aspects of the sport. Aisha Falode seeking that elective position in NFF, you know, you will say it's something good and something we can really applaud.
It is, particularly for inclusion, particularly for, you know, encouraging women to get into football administration in Nigeria. She's been there, done that. Now it will be good to see at the executive level and properly make sure that the things that are for women goes to the women. For instance, the FIFA grant, we know a particular percentage should be going to the development of women's football. When that money comes, we don't hear much from the NFL how that money gets disbursed and whether the women get the money or not. So with a woman in the board, she's right there in the thick of things, decision-making process, that's proper representation. So we have someone to now ask questions. Aisha Falode, what's going on with women's football development? What's going on with this funding? What's going on with the grants from FIFA? What's going on with goal projects? What's going on with empowering the girl child? You know, so it's good to see that she's getting into this. We love her. She has done the media proud, but we'll ask questions.
Of course.
That's why we're the media.
We always ask
we'll
questions.
Ask questions. When she get in there, we will call her and say, Aisha Falode, we wanted you to be there. You're there now. We're not seeing those changes, you know, just to make sure that we do our job as the watchdog to the society. So this is a good one. Well done to Aisha Falode. We look forward to the elections.
Okay, I want to talk about something I didn't really want to talk about. Yes, we're done with the women, and now let's quickly talk about the men. I mean, it's not been a good year for the men at all. I've been wondering, Super Eagles, the World Cup. Chad Eagles, come on, just Algeria here. They can't even go. Okay, they lost at the weekend to Ghana again. I mean, Ghana prevented us from going to the World Cup, and now the Chad Eagles, the home base, can't even go to the African Nations Championship for home-based players. It's painful anyway. I mean, it ended 2-0, of course, 2-2 after that. And then at the end of the day, it went to penalties. And of course, one player missed penalty, and that was it. Is it luck or what happened, Chan? I mean, it's painful. I'm still pained from what happened on Saturday evening in Abuja. Same MQ Abdullah Stadium. What is it, Austin?
You know, since you're singing the praises of women, let me add to it. Nigeria stopped Ghana from qualifying for the WAFCON.
Thank you.
And it was the women that got the job done. But the men, 2 times they fell to Ghana. But with the Chan Eagles, it was rather unfortunate, you know. And whenever it falls to the lottery of penalties, it can go anywhere. They had a good fight, but they left it too late. You know, I was really hoping that they pull one back at first half, you know, so that they can just get into the second and pull another one back. But that was a beautiful goal right there for 1-0. And then they went on to get a late one again for 2-0, tied it at 2-2. And then he went to penalties, you know. It is what it is. Ghana has stopped us twice. It's painful. We can't wait for 2022 to go. But we should learn and keep the lessons. Hopefully we get to, you know, come back. For instance, someone was asking me today, when would the league start? I said, the league? Which league? MPFL. We'll first do the drama of the elections. Administrators will take their time before they start thinking about the league. Those are the things pulling back our domestic football. You know, we should be deliberate about these things. The players did their bid, but it is what it is. Sad. But let's pick ourselves back up and see ways that we can, you know, make our league football admirable, because this is a reflection of the league right there. The players are from the league, and we're hoping that they get to the CHAN, but it's not going to be. Let's also mention what everyone is talking about. After the match, we're expecting to hear from Coach Salisu Yusuf, and he didn't speak to the media. This sort of games, you don't go away. You should come tell us what's going on. What are the plans, you know, right after this that we didn't qualify? What are we doing to make sure that this thing doesn't repeat itself again? You're not to get angry, walk away, abandon the media. It just shows that people are irresponsible to their public roles. We need to call this thing out so that they know that when this sort of things happen, you just don't abandon the team and go away. The public needs to get answers. They need to know what's going on, because put their emotions into these games.
All right, let's take a look at the teams that have actually qualified. Yes, of course, there's no Nigeria here. You have Algeria, Morocco, Libya, Senegal, Mauritania, Mali, Niger.
Oh, I thought it's Nigeria. Okay.
Okay, you have Ghana, you have Cote d'Ivoire, you have DR Congo, and of course, Congo, the Congo Republic. You also have Cameroon, Sudan, Ethiopia, Uganda, Madagascar, Angola, and Mozambique. These are the teams that have qualified. And of course, there is no Nigeria. You look at some countries. I think West Africa, maybe we'll stop playing the West African thing.
I don't know.
I don't know. Cote d'Ivoire is also not here.
I think we're denying ourselves a whole lot. And it's divided into two, WAFU A, WAFU B, and all of that. And Austin mentioned, you know, how the women stopped the Ghanaian, you know, women from qualifying for the World Cup. Also, just this weekend, Bayelsa Queen stopped the party in Ghana, in some parts where Ampem thought they would be putting their hands on the trophy. But Bayelsa Queen made sure of that. So we just talked about women inclusiveness and the way they should be more respected and all of that. And this is it. This is what we're talking about. Yes, the guys are a bit unlucky, but it started from the very first leg. See, we've seen this thing happen. This qualifiers is over 2 legs. It's not about a leg. It's not about a match. It started from the first leg. You went 2-0 down and all of that. Yes, we will come back. Luckily, we were able to get a second goal to keep it at 2-2, and then we went to penalties. A whole lot is being asked, you know, right here. You don't want to hear what people are saying on the street when they talk about include the local players to the main Super Eagles and all of that. They're asking questions. With what I'm watching with these guys, can they really compete with the Super Eagles player? That's a question for another day. But these are places where you tend to look at what you're doing at home, locally, and what is happening out there. Look at teams like, you know, Senegal, Morocco, Algeria. These teams, Libya, Madagascar, you know, you just go back to what they are doing at home.
Okay, we're leaving football right now. Quickly touch down on boxing. Yes, Austin, we mentioned that at the beginning of the show. Tyson Fury, not just Tyson Fury, and of course, Anthony Joshua. Will it happen or not? And what they're talking about is the fact that Tyson Fury says he's ready to have a 60-40 purse. What does that mean? He will take 60% and Anthony Joshua will have 40% of whatever money that is coming in. But Anthony Joshua's agents have actually talked about the fact that, well, he doesn't think that he's really serious about it. Maybe Tyson Fury is just joking about it. But he tweeted earlier, and this is what he said. Okay, Anthony Joshua actually replied him, said his camp, I don't do the online discussion just for cloud, so you have to really, really come and talk about it. But he said he will be ready in December. Okay, all British fights. That's what everyone has been waiting for. Will it happen? But there's no buzz in it because
that's the problem.
Where is the belt?
Except for Tyson Fury's belt. Yeah. You know, there was a time when you're talking boxing, it's all about the U.S. The heavyweights, the powerful men, you know, the title holders are in the U.S. Now he shifted from Lennox Lewis and all of that, you know. He came to now Tyson Fury. At a time, Anthony Joshua was the toast of the day. Everybody wants to, you know, get Anthony Joshua because it was the real deal. Two fighters taking him out. But still everybody wants to see all British, you know, fight. Anthony Joshua is still one of those names.
Yeah.
And then there is also Tyson Fury. So maybe we'll still get to enjoy that fight whenever it gets to come. And Anthony has said, if you really want it, leave the online discussion. Let's talk about this, legally. And then I'm telling you, I'll be ready by December.
Austin, is this going to happen? I mean, obviously you will be waiting for it, right? Especially if it's going to happen at Wembley.
I gave the tip on the show last week. That's why viewers should always watch Sports Tonight. We bring the exclusives. I told our viewers that I'm hearing that the UK wants to see that fight between Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. Because they were hoping
is off, Austin.
The
buzz is off. Unification bout everyone is waiting for. It's not going to happen. So.
No, but let's be frank. Let's be sincere. Boxing, particularly at the heavyweight level, is about the money, followership, and the personalities. No disrespect to Usyk, but the fans were waiting for that Joshua-Usyk fight to get out of the way so we see Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. Yeah. No disrespect. That was what everyone was waiting for. But unfortunately, Joshua lost the rematch, and this is where we are now. For Tyson Fury to call out Joshua to say, let's come and see who is the best in the Britannia, because the fans just can't have peace until they see both of us get into the ring. It's for the fans and the rights money. So you need to sit down and think about it, that can you control the sort of money that these promoters need before you get a unification? Because, I mean, if you fight Tyson, if you make Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk and is gone, maybe Tyson Fury wins that one, then what's next? But if you do these fights now and the fans love it, and let's say there's an upset, try and imagine Anthony Joshua picking back his career. If he beats this guy, then we have something talking about in the heavyweight category again. Yeah. So I think Fury is doing something good for the UK by telling Joshua, let's have this fight. And I'm sure for the right money, a fight is going to happen. That's why Joshua is humbled now. He's saying, I'm calm about this. I don't want clouds. Are you serious about this? I know Tyson Fury doesn't just rush to the big fights. And Usyk must be respected. I don't know about him being feared. He must be respected. Yep. With the form he's having at the moment, it's very risky. In fact, dangerous to get into the ring with that guy. And Tyson Fury is holding on tight to his WBC belt. If there's anybody he wants to lose that belt to, and before he tries getting it again, it will be his countryman, and that's Anthony Joshua, Cecilia.
Exactly. Okay. I totally do agree. The buzz is, is still there. Okay. No matter the loss for Joshua.
If you ask me, Anthony Joshua needs to fight someone else first before he can fight Tyson Fury so that he gets his back. Because right now, okay, I'm afraid. Let's quickly touch down on the UEFA Champions League. Earlier this evening, you had Chelsea, not a good way to start against Dinamo Zagreb. 13th minute, they conceded a goal, and all through after that, they could not even get anything out of that game. It ended by a lone goal. Of course, before we came into the studio, Man City were in action, having a good run. Borussia Dortmund, the fact that Erling Haaland, the goal machine, has gone to Man City, they are still scoring goals 3-0. And Sevilla at Man City ended 1-0. Erling Haaland was the one who gave them that goal. Benfica and Maccabi Haifa, it was 2-0. And PSG and Juventus, that game is 2-1. That's the result coming from the UEFA Champions League. And of course, the results talked about earlier. Osic just 13th minutes goal, and that was all. Chelsea could not even get
Chelsea
anything.
Dynamo Zagreb, the under-19s, they play simultaneously. Also, Chelsea under-19 lost 4-2 to Dynamo Zagreb.
Okay. Was it with Croatia team at Chelsea? Salzburg and AC Milan won in. Okafor scored that first goal before AC Milan were able to equalize. Real Madrid and Celtic, yes, was always going to be this kind of result expectedly. And Leipzig and Shakhtar Donetsk beating Leipzig by 3-1. That's what is looking like right now in the UEFA Champions League. Just results are coming out from there. And of course, there's still so much to talk about on the program. Quickly, we touch down on tennis. Updates coming from tennis. Who could have thought that right now? Who thought about it? That Okay, let me try to compose myself.
Okay.
That Rafael Nadal will not be in quarterfinals of the U.S. Open. And if you look at the team, the players that have left, I think only Alcaraz happens to be the top seed.
Kind of.
Yeah, that is left right now. And at the end of the day, for the men, you're going to have a new world number one. Not only that, and also a new world number one if Alcaraz gets to win, and also a new U.S. Open champion.
Yeah.
Who expected that to happen in U.S. Open? A whole lot of upset happening.
I saw, the build-up, somebody like Danny Medvedev off competitions because of the whole Russia-Belarus issue and all of that. So maybe rustiness really showed because some competitions they played before then, it was so slow. Then for Nadal, the injury layouts, has been there. He's been struggling through a lot of pains, especially his toe, and all of that. If you take out those two, the moment the first round went and Tsitsipas, was ousted in that very first round, we knew we were in for shockers in this year's U.S. Open for the men because it's always, predictable up until the quarterfinals where the big boys get to play each other and then they start to cancel out each other. But from the very first game, we saw Tsitsipas out and then it went on like that. Look at the likes of Tiafoe. Francis Tiafoe still there. We're talking Alcaraz. We're talking, Rublev and all of that. So these are names that naturally, before the U.S. Open gets to start, we didn't see them at this level. It's the quarterfinal, but we're already seeing a quarterfinal that has got names that we should expect. But I've got my eyes from the very start on Carlos Alcaraz of Spain. I think the young man might just be having his hands on his first Grand Slam. Without all of these big boys, I think it's a coast that is clear for him.
Okay, Austin, I mean, he just mentioned something. Francis Tiafoe is actually favorite for this right now. I mean, when you watch the game, the tears, I mean, he was,
Carlos Alcaraz. You say Tiafoe. No. Okay.
Okay, Cecilia says Tiafoe. You said Alcaraz. I'm saying Nick Kyrgios, guys.
Oh, Nick, yeah.
Don't take away Nick because Djokovic said something very, very important when he played Nick. He said, Nick, you'll play in more finals. And I think that's what is pushing Nick. Check him now. It's not really that bad boy Nick that will know. He's taking it one game at a time. Look at the way he took out Medvedev, no disrespect to the other guys. I mean, it's been a U.S. Open of upsets. So for the men, yes, anything can happen, but I'm not taking my eyes off Nick Kyrgios because if you have the sort of run that he had at the last Grand Slam event, for him, it's all about sustaining the momentum, and I think Nick can go all the way. But shout out to the women. Iga Swiatek is still doing her thing. Ons Jabeur at the moment is playing. She's not doing badly. We've seen upsets, but some of those top seeds in the women's category still, doing their thing. I mean, I love what is happening at this year's U.S. Open. It goes to show you that with the pandemic, a lot of things got refreshed. So players are beginning to believe in themselves. But I didn't want Nadal to, leave at this stage. He has said now that he doesn't know when he will return again. And I said, no, come on, Nadal. Chin up, taking a command. We still want you around, but I love the upsets. Cecilia, I love upsets.
Of course, that's what you love so much. Of course, we're going to be seeing Rafael Nadal at the US at the Australian Open, the first Grand Slam of the year.
Probably we'll wait. The ATP finals.
Also, maybe
we should still get to see. And he mentioned Ons Jabeur. She has won, the first set against, I think she's like the enemy of state, Alja. She actually took out Serena Williams. So a lot of persons are not in a happy mood.
The Australian.
Exactly. Australian, So Ons Jabeur leading Alja Milanovic right now. Probably one of the expected because Ons has also been on top of her
give
game.
It for Africa.
Yeah.
All right,
Arab, Africa,
thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you so much.
We're going to do this again, right?
Of course.
Okay, Cecilia, just to set the record straight, is Manchester City 3, Sevilla 0. Haaland with a brace, and I think Phil Foden got the other goal. That's the show. Thanks for doing this with us. We'll be back again tomorrow. Until then, in everything you do, remember, keep talking sports. Bye for now.
And thank you so much for watching. I'm Cecilia Mogbe. See you again tomorrow.